Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, two legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net. It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, two legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Welcome to Sporgy, the show that gives you half-ass sports fans giving their half-ass opinions. And now, here are your hosts.
This is Fantasy Hack. We are back for week 4. I think it's show number 5. I don't know. It's football season, week 4. I'm Chris. JR is with me. I think he's with me. You there, JR?
I'm here.
Oh, there we go. All right, so how'd you do this week?
You know what? It's been such a busy week. I just got back from Las Vegas. I don't have how many wins and losses I had. I know I had a pretty crappy week though. I think I might have gone 3-7 or 4-6. I did get off the schneid in one league that I was over. But my big league, I once again for the second time in 3 weeks played the guy that scored the most points. So I think I'm going to name a team in that league next year Buzzsaw Opponents. Because every week I run into a Buzzsaw, and I'm sure I'm not alone.
Well, this week I got to be the Buzzsaw in a couple of leagues. That was nice. I actually had a pretty good week. I was a crappy Bears defense performance away from going undefeated, but that did not happen. Boy, that did not happen. Bears, one game I needed you, to just be pedestrian, to just be average. You couldn't do that for me. But got off to schneid in our league that we play in together. I believe I was the buzzsaw in that league. Played Earl. Earl put up a respectable amount of points. I mean, he almost put up 150, and I almost put up 170. So I had a decent week. Hopefully this is the trend, but I have Saquon on 3 teams, so
bad.
Yeah. This could be my swan. Last week could be my pinnacle.
Well, as we know, there's always good pickups to be had somewhere down the line, and we'll talk about that. But let's talk about some of last week's games. Let's see here. Go up the board. The Chiefs once again. Very good performance by Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Defeating the Ravens 33-28. Lamar Jackson came down to earth a little bit, much to my chagrin because I have him in several leagues. Still did okay, but not like the great first 2 weeks he had.
But in my opinion, though, this game showed that the Ravens are for real because the Chiefs are a playoff team and they were competitive with them the whole game.
I know that they actually made a comeback towards the end, but Chiefs look awfully strong.
Yeah, I mean they were a Chiefs not getting a first down away from getting the ball back and giving them a run for their money, and it's they were getting a lot of crap because who they played, right, the Dolphins and the Cardinals, but they hung with the Chiefs, and I think Patrick Mahomes keeps going to show us that without Tyreek Hill. The only person to own in this offense really is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, maybe Kelsey, because everyone else, it's roll the dice, right? As far as the receivers, it doesn't seem like there is going to be a clear-cut leading receiver every week that Cheetah is out.
Yeah, and Hill's not practicing yet, so it's going to be a few more weeks. But you know what? You could do a lot worse than to have any of the remaining receivers. I know I picked up Damien Robinson, and he scored a touchdown. I think if you remember last week, I was touting the other receiver,
Nicole Hardman.
Nicole Hardman. So
yeah,
Hardman got in the end zone, and of course I benched him because he didn't do anything the week before. But even after I preached to everybody that this was going to be his week, and he finally got in, but I did not reap the benefits. But what I'm finding at a lot of my rosters is I've done pretty good with wide receivers, but not so good with running backs because most leagues I had late picks, like 11th out of 12th, and all the good running backs were already cherry picked, so I went for premium wide receivers. It's just in almost every league, I think I only got drafted in the top 5 in 1 or 2 leagues.
Well,
so that's kind of what I got left with. So I'm still scouring the waiver wire every week for running backs. I got a lot of Adrian Petersons on my team and Frank Gores, and that's kind of what I'm stuck with. Raheem Mostert's.
Yeah, I hear you.
Singletary's out, so I had to pick up Gore, and just not getting much production in the running back department as a general rule in the 10 teams that I have.
Speaking of running backs who went late, Mark Ingram, he is just he's shown he's been a value pick for anyone who owns him, huh?
Absolutely. And us and Eckler fans have done pretty good. However, late breaking news just moments ago, Melvin Gordon is going to report. Now, you got Eckler featured for one more week, but I would say the Melvin Gordon show is coming soon to a theater near you.
Yeah, probably because Melvin Gordon looked good 3 weeks in a row. He's like, I better play.
Oh, you meant
I'm going to lose my job.
Right. And now, that Kansas City running back quagmire is just worse than ever. Everybody was hurt except for McCoy. So McCoy was supposed to be the lead man. Now he's hurt. Damien Williams missed practice on Wednesday again. So now you're out down to Daryl Williams. So you got the 2 Williams and McCoy. So I think I'll be avoiding the Kansas City running back mess for now. If you're really desperate, you could try Daryl Williams, the other brother Daryl.
Yeah.
I have to say, I have to give props to my most hated NFL team, the Dallas Cowboys. Even though they struggled for the first half with the Dolphins, they pulled away with ease. And, Amari Cooper, man, I know he banged his ankle up a little bit, but that guy, I don't know what happened. I can remember I had him when he was with the Raiders one year, and I said, I'm never going to pick this guy again in any league at any time. And as soon as he went to the Cowboys, it's like he became a 3 times the player he ever was in a Raider uniform.
Because he had an upgrade of the person who was throwing to him. Let's be brutally honest. Dak Prescott is greater than Derek Carr.
Well, I say a lot of players are better than Derek Carr, but again, I got to give props to Prescott because he's looking very, very good this year. Off to a great start.
Yeah.
And on another note, Carson Wentz, maybe not such a great start, although, a heartbreaking loss to the Lions, and I think I owe you a beer for that. And I believe I probably owe you a beer because I don't think Miles Sanders outgained Kerryon Johnson, but we'll have to confirm that was.
Don't be proud of that. Don't be proud of that win. All right, or that. Sorry, I'm not proud of that win. That was ugly. You should have won. We did. We were. Both the teams are doing their best Detroit Lions impressions.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Somebody told me the Eagles outlioned the Lions.
Yeah, and the Lions were trying their damnedest at the end to be the Lions.
So the bad news for Eagles fans and Eagles fantasy owners is a short week. Thursday night game against the Packers. So no time, no rest for the weary, no opportunity to get healthy. So I've very low expectations. It looks like Alshon Jeffrey's going to give it a go, but Deshaun Jackson is out. I think Dallas Goedert's going to play, even though he dropped the potential game-winning pass last week. So if you've got Eagles, just pray for their health. And after the Green Bay game, they'll have 10 days to rest up and hopefully get Deshaun Jackson back because he looked awfully good in Week 1. So if you have anybody that was dumb enough to release Jackson, I'd recommend picking him up. All right, so any more comments from last week's games, performances? What do we have? That Monday night game was, I know you were talking about the Bears, but boy, the Washington Redskins look terrible. I think there'll be, I I think if it weren't for the Dolphins, they'd probably be in contention for the number 1 pick. But I think the Dolphins are in a league of their own. And
only Redskin worth owning is Terry McLaurin. I think that's one of the big takeaways from Monday night.
Yeah. I was going to say Case Keenum, but I think the Haskins era may begin sooner than later in Washington. From
at 0-3, he ain't going to be starting for much longer. Danny Dimes, you believing in him?
Who?
Daniel Jones. Danny Dimes is his nickname.
Daniel Jones, yeah. Man, he sure impressed in the first game. And I was listening to NFL radio on the way back from Vegas yesterday, and I heard a famous Bill Parcells quote: "Do not anoint him just yet. Wait till teams get film on him and see how the defenses adjust before you crown him." But certainly for your first NFL start, he looked very impressive, and I think Eli better get accustomed to holding that clipboard, because barring injury, I think they're going to have to just, at least he had some excitement for Giants fans. Whereas, and Eli certainly won 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl MVP. He gets his props for, but I think it's a changing of the guard in New York.
Yeah.
So if you're in need of a quarterback, why not take a flyer on him? 2
names we got to mention before we move on. Because talking about last week, we would be fools if we did not mention Keenan Allen and Mike Evans. Mike Evans, welcome to the 2019 season. Where you been? I think he's trying to make up for 2 weeks of no points. And Keenan Allen. Wow.
Oh yeah, I have Allen in a few leagues, and I was very happy. I think that was the league I got off the schneid in, one of them, one of the big money leagues I have him. But certainly great to see Evans owners. You were rewarded for your patience. I know I had Evans as a keeper for a couple of years, and this year it was down to a second rounder to keep him, and I'm like, nah. But that's what you get with Evans. You have a huge potential, huge ceiling, but also a huge floor, because he does tend to disappear some games. And then you also got the Jameis Winston factor to deal with, another hot up and down guy. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's not, he's not. So
I somehow played Evans and won. I don't know how. I mean, I had a good week with that team, but man, it made me sweat it out watching him. When he caught his 3rd touchdown, I was like, "Oh, come on!"
Well, one final thought on last week. Just an update on Cam Newton. Looks like he's going to be out for an extended period of time. I'm hearing through the end of October, so it'll probably be the Thanksgiving till we see him again. So we'll see what his understudy can do. He certainly looked impressive last week, but again, let's not anoint him yet.
And of course the marquee injury of the week, Saquon Barkley. Every time I get first pick, the years I get first. The last time I had first pick was the year David Johnson lasted 3 quarters. It never fails.
Well, great segue into our next podcast. They asked me why I drink, so at least you can drink some good craft beers. But that's the Beer Nuts podcast. That's another podcast for another day.
Yes.
So moving along, we have a new segment of our show that we're going to introduce today. We're running a little short on time, and we're going to have a new guest. That's my son, Jack. So welcome, Jack. Jack is going to do a trio of players every week that he thinks can help your team. Maybe somebody that's not so obvious. For example, he's not going to talk about Wayne Gallman this week, the obvious pickup for Saquon Barkley. I'd like to welcome Jack to the show. He'll be on every week with his segment of 3 players. And then next week we'll take a look at how the 3 players he threw out performed this week. And he'll throw out a new group of 3. So welcome, Jack.
Hey, Jack.
Thanks, Dad. Hello. All right, we're going to kick it off. DJ Chark of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Great week last week. 4 for 5, 76 yards and a touchdown. The week 3 win over the Titans. Now, I personally, you got to believe in Gardner Minshew if you think this guy is going to be good. This week he's going up against Denver in Denver. It's a hard defense. It's a hard place to go play. You guys have any thoughts on Gardner Minshew and the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I think DJ Chark is the only thing worth owning on the Jaguars, personally, and he's on my bench. He's for bye weeks.
Yeah, I don't think he's a starter just yet. I would give him a couple more weeks to prove himself. But moving along, I don't want to beat the dead horse, but Daniel Jones, offensive NFC Player of the Week, 281 passing yards. 336 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He was sacked 5 times, which isn't good, but he lost 2 fumbles, so I feel like, ball security is going to be a thing going forward. I would just pick this guy up to keep him on your bench. I don't think he's a surefire starter. But he is playing the Redskins at home, and we know how atrocious that Redskin defense is, so maybe something to look out for. If, let's say you had Roethlisberger and Breeze, might as well just pick up Daniel Jones. Why not? And this guy's a Hail Mary, but Dawson Knox. Yeah, you never heard of this guy. Buffalo Bills backup tight end. Croft was injured, so he came in 67 targets and 67 yards and a touchdown against the Bengals. I mean, it was against the Bengals, and the starter was hurt. But, I mean, if you have an injury on a tight end, you might just want to pick this guy up and put him on your bench. Why not? But he's only 10% owned right now in Yahoo leagues, so never know. Hail Mary.
That's a great one to take a flyer on because there's a lot of people out there with getting nothing out of their tight end position. So, I mean, there's not much slim pickings on the waiver wire. Maybe that's a guy to look out for. We'll see what happens next week.
Trust me, I've been eyeing him. I drafted Hunter Henry. I advanced McDonald. No, I've been eyeing Dawson Knox.
Did you know that Vance McDonald is in a sling right now?
I do. And the Steelers also just acquired Nick Vannett, so that does not look good.
Yeah, another note with Knox, though, he is going to play New England on Sunday, so that could be a problem. So I would definitely not start him.
It's not a week to start your Bills.
Yeah. No Bills. No Bills start this weekend against that New England defense.
All right, Jack. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to having you next week.
Pleasure.
We'll kind of review how these guys do.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
ChristopherMedia.net.
It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, 2 legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net. It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, 2 legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net. It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, 2 legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Sporgy.
All right, so let's move on to this week's games. Let's see, we got Thursday night, we got the Eagles visiting Lambeau Field after that stinker that they lost to the Lions, the game that no one deserved to win. The Eagles will be getting Alshon Jeffrey back, but still no Deshaun Jackson, and the Packers are looking awfully tough, so we'll see what happens there. I looked for Aaron Rodgers to have a big day because the Eagles' secondary has been exploited, and that's coming from an Eagles fan. I think that's the weakness of the team, and some may argue successfully that with 2 defensive linemen gone for the Eagles, Malik Jackson being one out for the season. They're not getting the pass rush in on it, and that's hurting the secondary play. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You're getting an ineffective pass rush, which was always a strength of the Eagles. I think they really made a mistake getting rid of Michael Bennett. But anyway, not to get too far off on a tangent, because I could talk about Eagles all day, but look for good performances from Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay receivers. Devontae Adams, I think that they're going to put up some points, just like the Atlanta Falcons lit up that secondary. So let's see, what else do we got here? We have the Tennessee Titans at the Atlanta Falcons. I'll let you review that one, Chris.
These are two teams who don't know what they are yet this year. Not buying the Titans. I think the Falcons' offense is way better than the Titans' offense. You could say that the Falcons are struggling this year, but the Matt Ryan to Julio Jones connection is real this year. Julio's already got 4 touchdowns this year. Last year was the first year he broke 6. So, I mean, he's already on pace to have a career year. Give me all the Falcons in this game. Give me at least Matt and Julio in this game. I expect Derrick Henry. He is too schizophrenic for me. He's one guy one week, he's one guy another week. I'm a believer in him, and I believe he'll do well against Atlanta, because Atlanta's defense has not impressed me. Moving to the Patriots and the Bills, who would have thunk this would be a battle of unbeatens in Week 4? The 3-0 Buffalo Bills hosting the 3-0 Patriots. At least they got cut ties with Antonio Brown. Maybe we should talk about Antonio Brown. A lot of people are like, hey, somebody might pick him up. I'm going to keep him on my roster. Well, nope.
He's off all my rosters.
I dropped him immediately as soon as that tweet came through last Friday where he said, thanks for the opportunity. I dropped him immediately. Because until all that legal stuff clears up, he is a huge liability. No one's picking him up. I talked about this when we talked about, draft strategy. The season's too short for somebody who's not playing to suck up a roster spot, especially if you don't have an IR slot. So, no, I'm with you. Just get rid of him. He's not playing in 2019. He may play NFL football again, but it won't be in 2019.
Well, if he doesn't, it won't be for my fantasy team, because if nothing else, it's just bad karma.
Well, too, and then remember, it's about mitigating risk, right? He's a huge risk. I got one 16-point game out of him, and the other week he sat on my bench. No, I don't have time for nonsense. Go warm someone else's bench.
Okay, well, we won't waste any more breath on AB, but we will talk about the Patriots and the Bills. I think the problem with the Bills is they just don't have a running game, and they got the dinosaur Frank Gore replacing Singletary, who showed promise before he got hurt as a young buck. But the machine is not going to be intimidated by the Buffalo crowd, and I think Tom Brady and the Patriots will win convincingly. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to turn this one over to you, your beloved Detroit Lions, hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. I know what you're going to say, but I'd like to hear it from you.
Start all Chiefs.
Well, you just said you didn't want to start any of the receivers.
You
got Hardman,
this week. Yeah, start all Chiefs.
All hands on deck.
This is not going to be pretty. I don't think this is going to be pretty at all.
Slay got hurt, right?
What's that?
Didn't Darius Slay get hurt at the Eagles game?
Sure. Would it have mattered if he wasn't? I don't think this is going to be pretty. I think Mahomes is going to probably throw for 6 touchdowns.
Start your Chiefs receivers, but again, we don't even know what running back's going to play, so tread carefully with the running game. And of course, Mahomes is just off the charts every week. Yeah. Okay, we got the 1-2 Oakland Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. Can't wait till I can say Las Vegas Raiders. I just drove by their unfinished stadium, and it's going to be magnificent. But I'm really liking what I'm seeing, and out of Jacoby Brissette and the Indianapolis Colts, I think people are overlooking them. Oh, no. No Andrew Luck. The Colts are forgotten.
Yeah, they've been left for dead, right?
Yep. And I think that's a great rallying cry for them. Say, we're going to show some people we can still play ball without Andrew Luck, and that's what they're doing. So, Jacoby Brissette, might be a good if you're a quarterback desperate team that he's actually posted some solid numbers.
Yeah.
So if you're desperate for quarterback play, you could do a lot worse. Maybe took a look at him, and then you got the infamous Derek Carr in Oakland. If you're starting him, you're probably 0-3.
Yeah.
And don't forget Marlon Mack. I believe T.Y. Hilton's hurt, so check his injury status. Okay, so then we go to the Chargers and the Dolphins. I think it goes without saying, don't start any Dolphins. None at all.
Don't own any Dolphins. If you own a Dolphin, you are... Whew. If you own a Dolphin...
it's almost like the Chargers are getting a bye week, except they still get to accrue stats.
Yeah.
So start your Chargers early and often, and if you can get that Chargers defense, that's the defense to have this week, but that's no secret. Pick up whoever is playing the Dolphins on any given week if you can get the defense facing them. Then we go to the 0-3 Washington Redskins at the 1-2 New York Giants. We saw how abysmal the Redskins performed. They're on a short week. The Giants are rejuvenated with Jones at quarterback. So no Saquon Barkley's going to hurt. But I think Sterling Shepard looked to connect pretty good with Jones. And, of course, one of your favorites is McLaurin, so you could probably start him because the Redskins will probably be behind and throwing often. Mm-hmm. I'm going to actually take a flyer on a couple of my leagues and start AP going against the Giants. They don't seem to have a very good run defense. Well, they don't seem to have a very good defense at all. But as far as winning the game, I like the Giants just because the Skins are that bad and the Giants are at home. And I think there's a little bit of new energy with Jones.
Yeah, I've looked at AP at a couple leagues for him to replace Saquon. I don't know.
It's tough.
I got to see a couple more weeks out of him. It's tough,
but there's some bye weeks this week. If you're a Le'Veon Bell owner, I know he has been disappointing anyway, but he's got a week to rest at least. But you can't play him this week, so that's where Adrian Peterson's going to come in.
Well, the thing with AP too is we talk about it on the show all the time. Volume is king, right? He's going to get the ball. So I mean, that's the only reason I've even considered rostering him. Browns at the
Adrian
Ravens.
Peterson and Frank Gore.
Yeah.
Go ahead with the Browns and Ravens. Interested to see what you think about Baker Mayfield. Starting to worry a little bit about him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm to the point with him where I don't know what to think. Like you got to turn it around. He is definitely, if he doesn't perform after this week, he's on a team where he's about to get dropped, which is a shame because I own Beckham on that team as well. But if no time for mediocre quarterbacks. I mean, the season's going to be a quarter of the way over this week. Baker, we plan on performing anytime soon? Right now, I wouldn't recommend starting him.
But on the other side of the ball, I'll sure be starting Lamar Smith.
Even Lamar Jackson
and Mark
as
Ingram.
well. Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram.
Lamar Jackson. Boy, what am I thinking? I think a couple of days in Vegas got the cobwebs.
Marquise Brown.
Still recovering.
I know it's still early, but not turning out to be what everyone thought he was going to be week one. After his huge monster week?
I think he's going to be a feast or famine on any given week. He has a good high ceiling, but there's going to be weeks where you don't get much out of him. He's one of those home run guys.
Yeah.
It's all about targets and game planning, and he's not going to get the ball every week. Mm-hmm. So we got the Panthers and the Texans. Panthers reeling with no Cam Newton, but actually held their own pretty good.
Hey, with no Cam Newton, if you own CMC, good for you. Because he's going to be the benefactor of no Cam. He generally, when there is no Cam Newton, he generally is.
If he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
But the Texans look pretty good. Maybe not so much in the running game, but certainly DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson are bringing their A game. So let's go to the Buccaneers and the Rams. That could be ugly. It's in L.A. Oof. I don't see Jameis Winston performing well in the Coliseum. And I do see the Rams defense shutting that Tampa Bay offense down. So
yeah, I'm not. Jameis is another guy I have, which unfortunately I have him and Baker on the same team. He's outperforming Baker at the moment, but he's another guy where it's these last couple of weeks on the waiver wire I got kind of one eye on somebody to replace him.
Well, we got Todd Gurley is really not. This had a pretty pedestrian week last week.
Yeah, that is a guy that I've heard a lot of people.
The Rams are good everywhere, but they don't. In past years it was all the Gurley show. Now it's like, who's going to be on any given week? Who's going to be the star? So it's kind of tough for fantasy owners with your Rams. It's nice to have the Rams, but it's kind of like that problem you have where you don't know which one's going to score, like the Kansas City offensive attack. Great offense, but so many weapons, it's hard to pick any one. Seahawks and the Cardinals. Oh, yeah, it's in Arizona, but I don't know. We'll see if Kyler Murray can get his first win. They're 0-2-1. They do have that tie against the Lions, though.
That is true.
But that's a stingy Seattle defense, always is. Maybe not as strong this year as in past years, but they're 2-1. Russell Wilson's always a solid play.
Through what did he throw? Did he throw like 50 passes last week?
Yeah, he still continues to find ways to get it done. If you shut his running game down, he'll pass like that. He can still get it done with his legs, although he's aging a little bit. But I always start him with confidence. I have him on a lot of teams. I picked him like as my second quarterback, and now I find him starting him. He always seems to be reliable. So I think the Seahawks will prevail in the desert. We got a couple more games to get through, and before we sign off, we got the Vikings at the Chicago Bears. Should be a really good one. I like the Bears at home. I don't know what do you think about David Montgomery. He hasn't really lit it up. I mean, he's a good player, but not maybe a great fantasy player.
Yeah, he's another guy that I'm looking at. I got one eye on replacing him after this week because it's just he hasn't been what he's supposed to be. Dalvin Cook is just a monster this year. Good for him. Stephon Diggs, where you been? You show up? The season started a month ago. At the beginning of the season, they were like, well, Thielen's not going to have a big year, but Diggs will, and it's the opposite. Yeah. So one word of advice to owners, one word of advice. You're going to have to edit this out. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. Dalvin Cook owners, don't forget to pick up Alex Madison, because something happens to Dalvin, he's going to step right in. He's available in a lot of leagues. I have him stashed on my bench where I have just an extra spot to fill. This is a placeholder, but if you own Cook, you really need to have him. Handcuff him. We got the Jags at the Broncos. Oh, jeez. Probably going to be a defensive slugfest there. So beware of starting. I know Fournette's looking pretty good. We'll see how he can do against that Denver D. Emmanuel Sanders is looking good this year. But I wouldn't expect a lot of offense out of that game, so beware. Dallas Cowboys at the Saints, that should be a really good one. Well, maybe this is shame that there's 2 weeks ago it would have been a really good one. No, I think Dallas is going to pound on them, but that's just me. The Saints, hey, we know how tough a place Seattle is to win, and the Saints went up there with a backup quarterback and got it done. Well, I'll be rooting for the Saints. But from a fantasy perspective, no-brainer, Alvin Kamara, one of the studs of the league. We got Zeke on the other side. We'll see how Dak Prescott can keep it up with that connection with Amari Cooper. So it should be an interesting one to watch. You got Michael Thomas, you got Cooper, you got Zeke, you got Kamara. So that should be a really good one, and that's the Sunday night game. So for once we have a decent matchup. And to wrap it up on Monday night, the Bungles and the Steelers. 0-3, both teams winless. Somebody's going to get their first win. Who do you think it'll be? Quite honestly, the Steelers.
I like the Steelers at home, but James Conner really hasn't impressed this year. The Steelers are really struggling with Rudolph now at quarterback, and it's just going to be a long season for you Steeler fans, but I think they'll beat the Bengals at home. God forbid if they don't. Yeah. So that's about it. Don't forget, 49ers and Jets on a bye. If you have Jets, it's probably a relief that you get to bench them. And if you have 49ers, it might not be a relief because they're at 3-0. So don't sleep on that 49ers defense when they come back next week either.
Nope.
Another kind of unheralded D.
I picked them up, started them last week, and they were very fruitful for me in a few leagues. So,
all right. Well, that should about wrap it up.
Yeah,
I'll let you do the closing ceremonies here. And first and 10, everybody.
Yeah, we are on Twitter at the Fantasy Hack, also at Sporty Podcast. You can email us the Fantasy Hack at ChristopherMedia.net. We are on Twitter on Sunday mornings. We are active. JR's covering the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast as far as time zones, but football takes place in the same time frame, right? So, want to interact with us? We're watching the games. We're answering questions. So, do you want to hit us up then? Feel free to. We are on all the podcasting platforms: Spreaker.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, ChristopherMedia.net. I'm sure there's something in there I'm forgetting, so I'll just leave it at that, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody. Good luck.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, two legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net. It's the Divisional Round, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. On Saturday, LA visits the frozen tundra of Green Bay, while Baltimore and Buffalo face off with their electric third-year quarterbacks. On Sunday, and after winning their first playoff game in 26 years, Cleveland meets last year's champs. In the late game, two legendary future Hall of Fame QBs square off as Tampa visits the Big Easy. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as teams take one step closer to the championship. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.